for me to sit back here in this studio looking at a guy out here hollering my name. When last year I spent more money on filmmaking, you're buying from one side of the world to the other than you make. You talk to the lovely Diamond Ring, where just being good, real deal, living in just flying, son of a gun. Flying, son of a gun. And I'm having a hard time holding down this stuff.
Hey yo, it's that time in the show when we like to take a little survey. So is there anybody here that came to see that red hot black and white express? Survey says one more for the good guys.
Welcome to Fantasy Kingdom. I'm your host, Mikey, and as always, riding with me, Howie. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Love some of that Razor Ramon there.
You right? Little Scott Hall, you know,
Yeah.
One more for the good guys. Too bad it wasn't last week as the Bills dropped a heartbreaker to the Eagles. A heartbreaker to the Eagles. Every time I think we're done, they pull me back in and they break my heart all over again. The life of a Bills fan. What's going on, Amy? How you doing? We got to win out. You're right. Got to win out to get in. That's gonna be a tough road to hoe. But let's talk a little bit of Week 12 results, Howie. Let's do some studs and duds from quarterbacks last week. Just speaking of that Bills-Eagles game, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts follow up our studs. It was a barn burner with those two. Crazy part was Jalen Hurts didn't have crap in the first half. They had like 88 total yards of offense.
They don't score a whole lot in the first half at all.
And then they unleashed the beast in the second half.
I think they grind down the opposing team a little bit, going in that second half. But the Bills, no telling, because
Well, they can't hold a lead.
Well, well, you know what? At least they look like they were doing the same thing the whole game this time.
Yeah, they didn't go away from what worked on offense.
Right.
The problem
Up to this point, that's been their problem.
But they did that on defense. They went away from what worked on defense.
Wow.
And, we played in the first half, they played very, very patient. They didn't bust it out of their rush lanes. They played so Hurts couldn't get outside. In the second half, they just went undisciplined. And they got out. So Hurts was able to get out and around and make stuff happen because the people just kept crashing in. What's going on, Tommy? Yes, it's welcome back. I was sick last weekend, so we couldn't do it. It was a rough one. Howie was ready, and go Bills.
I was ready.
Always go Bills. So let's keep going through the studs and duds. We had Allen and Hurts. We also had Dak Prescott. His Thanksgiving game.
Ooh.
Man, he put on a show for them Cowboys fans.
48 points or something like that he scored.
Yeah, it was crazy. Then our honorable mentions, we had Stroud, who just continues to light it up as a rookie quarterback.
He doesn't even look like a rookie anymore. He's so poised.
He is. Like you've seen a better Stroud in the pros than you ever did in college. Like ever since that game that he lost in the playoffs last year against Georgia, like he was as poised as all could be in that one too. And they didn't have the ball last, so he lost.
Right.
It's like you saw a different quarterback once that hit, which is awesome to see. We had the return of Jordan Love and Matt Stafford in the honorable mentions.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Jordan Love do anything in weeks, and then he decides, Thanksgiving Day, it's Detroit. Let's go and kick him in the teeth. That's what Detroit fans are used to on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then Matt Stafford returning from his thumb injury, had a really good day. Although he spread it around more than normal because Cooper Kupp did not have a good day.
Right, and it helped that he had the running game going.
Yeah.
And really had the running game
going. Getting Kyren Williams back was big for that team.
Got my butt kicked because of that.
Right. Then let's go into the running backs. Kyren Williams, speaking of, he was the top running back. Then when Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson from Washington, all of a sudden has burst onto the scene, kicked the door open, and told his offense coordinator, "Give me the rock."
Yeah, give him the ball.
You know, it was nice to see. You know, because he has so much talent. Early in the year, you guys just didn't use him at all.
That's true. That's true. The whole team is pretty talented. We're not going to go anywhere, but I like our future. You know, I mean, I was a little shocked when they.
What's your take on Hal?
I like him. Well, he's tough, that's for sure. he keeps getting back up off the ground, and he's throwing like a madman. I mean, I heard one prediction for this week for him and Tua to put up like 600 yards and 6 touchdowns
against each other.
And that's really not out of bounds if you think about it.
No,
between the two
combined,
600 yards,
300 apiece, 3 touchdowns apiece. I could see that. Although I'm not sure Tua's throwing for 3 because that run game gets.
He's going to have his run game back.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends on if the H-N, because he's really good. He had that great game against Denver, but
followed up a really good one against Buffalo, and then another really good one, and then he busted his knee up and.
Oh yeah, he's small, and he's a little bit fragile. So are they gonna take him out there and make him be the bell cow today? I mean, this weekend, I don't know.
I can't see that.
With all 3 of them, I think they should have a good running game. But Dolphins aren't going to get away from their passing game. I mean, first of all, they want to get 2 of that record. You know, I mean, they want to get Tyreek.
You know? Well, Tyreek's gonna break that record. I'm sorry, he's just gonna.
Probably.
Like their passing game is Tyreek. If you don't have Tyreek in there, that offense doesn't run.
I'm surprised how little we see of Waddle as much. You know, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with him, and he just
doesn't throw to
one
him.
of the fastest guys in the league. It's like they're using him for a decoy all the time.
It's Tyreek. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that offense works without Tyreek. Tyreek is the centerpiece of that offense to make it go. Like, because they can throw him a 3-yard, a 3-yard route, and he can turn it into 30.
Right. Well, they said that about him in Kansas City when he left Kansas City. They're like,
but he wasn't the number 1 in Kansas City. That was Kelce.
Right. It was Kelce. It was Kelce, and then him. But still, Bill's about to win out.
You'll find out what Miami is made of at the last 3 games. They go Baltimore, Cowboys, Bills.
That's going to be that'll show up their playoff team.
Yep, that you'll find out what they're made of because they have yet to beat a really good playoff team.
That's true.
The losses are them. They beat up the tomato cans, which they should. The Bills can't beat up the tomato cans, so it's the reason why we're 6-6. But okay, we'll keep going through McCaffrey and Robinson. Then our honorable mentions: we have Jacobs, Pacheco, and Pollard. Pacheco seemed to get fed last week. Hopefully they start doing that more often as I have him on my fantasy team. I need him to, be fed.
Well, yeah, as long as the receiver, until the receivers start really catching the ball instead of off and on, they might as well feed him. And why not? He's a really good runner. He's producing.
Yeah. But they don't. They just constantly swap him out for somebody else all the time. And it drives me nuts.
Well, in fantasy, that's going to drive you crazy. But as a team, I think it's smart to not run him to death because he runs so hard, Yeah,
it says Mostert is a beast. Come on, Washington. Do us a favor. Yeah, Amy. I like Mostert. Mostert's one of those guys. The thing about Mostert is he needs the holes. He's not going to create for himself. He's always been that way. He was that way when he played for Arizona. He was that way when he played for San Francisco. Now with Miami, if you give him an opening, he's going to hit it and he's going to take it because he's so fast.
He loves getting on the outside.
Yeah, because he's so fast.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how because A-Chain kind of overtook his job. Before he got hurt.
But a lot of that was all that one game against Denver.
But it wasn't because it was the next two games after that against Buffalo and because Mostert fumbled twice against Buffalo, and then the following game Mostert went off, or not Mostert, but A-Chain went off again, and then he got hurt, and then it's been Mostert was inserted back in the lineup, but A-Chain was taking his carries, like he was getting the majority of the carries until he got hurt.
Yeah.
Because Mostert had a fumbling problem. He fumbled like 5 times in 3 games.
Well, he's been doing pretty good since then, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was when they played the tough part of their schedule.
Right.
You know, so it'll be interesting to see what he looks like. But I'm a fan of him. I think he's a good running back. I wanted him to come to Buffalo when he was a free agent. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having a fast guy. You know,
It would be nice if you guys had a really good running back.
well, we have Cook. Cook's good.
Cook's good.
Cook's
But
Cook's in the top.
I don't
8
consider him
in rushing.
elite. I don't consider him elite.
He's not elite, but he's good.
You know? I mean, almost nowadays the day of the elite running back is kind of
gone.
Yeah, I mean,
how many are there? McCaffrey.
Well, you had, McCaffrey's probably the guy right now, but I mean, there are no. I mean, Henry has gone whoosh,
Yeah.
and he was the standard for a long time.
Yep.
It was like you saw him coming, it was like, oh God. But there's not a whole lot of that anymore. You maybe a little bit of. I mean, right now, Montgomery's probably one of the more fearsome runners.
But is he? Because he's losing carries to Gibbs.
Well,
now.
he's losing carries, but I mean, as a runner,
Well, let's look at it.
Yeah.
It's the top backs. The top backs are McCaffrey, where Kamara has fallen off.
Yeah.
Chubb, when healthy, Chubb is one of the elite ones. Trying to think. Pollard isn't. I don't think Pollard's the elite running back.
Pollard without their passing game is. I mean, Pollard was great with Zeke. I mean, when you put him in tandem with something, he's going good. Like right now, the Cowboys have such a good passing game that it opens up a lot for Pollard. But as good as Dallas is doing, I mean, come on, the best team they beat is Seattle.
Yeah,
the best team. I mean, other than that, we're the next ones down the list, and we're what 5-6. Well, we're terrible, 5-7, something like that.
Yeah.
And that's all they've been beaten. I love next week's game.
Yeah, when they play the Eagles, we'll see what.
I want to see what they really got.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
I mean, being a Redskin fan, I have to talk shit about Dallas.
Yep. But then Barkley, would you call Barkley elite?
Well, on another team.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I'm trying to think through there. Jonathan Taylor, is Jonathan Taylor elite?
Not this year.
Not last year. He was the first couple of years in the league, but he hasn't been since. Breece Hall, not with that offensive line.
Yeah.
So when you think about elite running backs, there's very, very few.
You've got some really good running backs on terrible teams.
Jacobs is probably borderline elite tier.
He would be elite on, like I said. There's another team. You put him on another team, boom. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah. So let's get to the wide receivers. We had Tyreek Hill. Surprise! He has his usual spot amongst the elite wide receivers in fantasy. Then you had Mike Evans, and Rashee Rice is starting to pick it up down the stretch.
He's becoming more of his number one.
Yeah,
because for so long he would throw to 5 different guys, and
they would drop him.
They're dropping him. So you either catch the ball or
I mean, even Kelsey has been dropping him. Very unusual year for Kelsey.
Well, yeah, you go back to that old boxers thing, no sex before a fight.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know that his head is completely back in the football game. He's still, really.
No pepper for Pepperman this week.
That's right.
No, he finally won one.
I got one right.
Yep. Very boring week, Scott. It's bye week. Very, very boring week. So yeah, it's always good to be here. Chat a little fantasy football, chat a little bit of NFL football. It's always fun that way. All right, so let's get to the tight ends. Then we had Freiermuth. Welcome back, Pat Freiermuth, who's been out for most of the year. Had a really bad concussion early. And then we have Higbee. Higbee's finally in the top and not in the bottom. He's so hit and miss. It's boom or bust with that guy.
It's tough to recommend him, because you don't know what's going to happen. And that running game opened it up for him, big time.
Najee, you're right, Tommy. Najee could be dynamic on a better team.
Yeah.
If Najee has holes to run through, Najee isn't a guy who can create for himself. Very much like Mostert. He's not a guy who's going to create for himself. You know, you look at like the Devin Singletaries and the Christian McCaffreys and even Breece Hall. He creates for himself.
Right.
Like if there's a guy in the backfield, they'll make that first guy miss and they'll get 2 or 3 rather than negative. Najee Harris isn't doing that.
Right.
He's not making that first guy miss. You know, but you get him through the hole and get him out on the second. He'll you know, he has some moves that do. It's that quick in the phone booth agility that I think he's missing.
Yeah.
To truly be elite, but he could be very dynamic on a better team. You're right.
Got a lot of that going around.
Yep. Laporta,
Love Laporta.
who's now very important to you.
Very.
As you made a deal for. I can't believe he traded you Laporta. I just
but I traded him DJ Moore,
and he went off.
and I got beat.
But you didn't need it. You didn't need DJ.
I didn't need.
Was DJ the reason you lost?
Well,
no, Kyron Williams is the reason you lost.
Kyron Williams, DJ, that whole
Stroud.
team. Yeah, he scored like 170 points on me.
Yeah.
I still scored 150 something. A really good week in our league. But yeah, he got me. But I got a third rounder for a 7-round draft pick out of the deal.
I love you, Scott. He said Bills win in the Super Bowl as they win the next 8 or 9, depending on getting in as a wild card. Yes, we're just gonna run the table from here on out, Scott.
And you want me to I can put that in my hot pepper challenge.
No.
You can kiss that one goodbye.
You just pipe down over there. I'll put you on timeout. Let's go to our honorable mentions for the tight ends. We had Hawkinson, Kelsey, and Everett. Everett made a sighting on the honorable mentions for studs. When I think of the tight ends, I think of Parham. I don't ever think of Everett.
Normally, you think of Parham, and he's touchdown dependent, very touchdown dependent, because he's murderous in the red zone. But right now, the Chargers don't have anybody else to throw to. I mean, Keenan's going to play this week, but after that, it's the tight ends and maybe Guyton.
Okay.
This week, but. Yeah, I would.
What about Q? Is Jefferson there? Or Johnston, Quentin Johnston?
He's still there, but this is not his season. A lot of good wide receivers don't really hit their stride till the third season.
Ooh, that was the other night's game, right, Tommy? It says all my fantasy league, I had Geno, DK, and Lamb. DK by himself had 3 touchdowns. He just had a monster day.
He's been doing so terrible that in one of my leagues, I actually dropped him.
Are you serious?
And picked somebody else up. It was a random league, but I still won. But I looked at that and went, "Oh, duh."
What were you thinking? Metcalf's one of those guys.
I didn't think any one of those receivers should have been started in fantasy, and all 3 of them scored good enough points.
10 plus.
DK went off, but the other 2 scored okay,
Yeah, JSN's is a tough one to start week in, week out. Because you never know what he's going to get. He's the third option there.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have recommended any of them for that game, and I'd have been really wrong.
Tommy, that's a good one to have, brother. How are you doing this year, Tommy? Tell me that. How are you doing in fantasy this year? Are you leading here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me how are you doing?
And do you have Allen?
Yeah. Do you have Josh Allen? Because that's the question. All
That's
right.
how he wins it.
Let's get into. He says I passed on DK for Ford. Still pisses me off. Oh, you're talking about in real life. Yeah, we passed on DK for Cody Ford. Well, we passed on a lot of guys. We also passed on Creed Humphreys for Boogie Basham. Boogie Basham's not even on our team anymore. Creed Humphreys is a freaking all-pro. So, and he says yes. He says I'm 9-3, and yes, I have Allen. Josh Allen wins a lot of fantasy football leagues.
I need a win this week to get to 9-3. Now I'm pretty much clinched for the playoffs.
Justin Gimson says I'm 8-4. Justin, do you have Josh Allen? You're a Bills fan. That's the real question. All right, let's get into the duds from quarterbacks. Dobbs he hit a wall or what? Did he turn? Did Cinderella turn back into the
Pumpkin.
You know, Pumpkin.
You know, he was due to have a bad game. I
But
mean,
it's been 2 now in a row.
the situation he got thrown into, I was surprised that he did anything at all. And he's done quite well. He just had a couple off games. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like he's Josh Allen or something, and they just picked him up, and it's like, woo, he was kind of a.
But that's what they were talking like.
I like him because he's so tough.
Yeah.
You know, because when he was on the Cardinals, they beat the crap out of him, but he'd get back up. He was a lot like Howell. But
yeah. Justin says, I won a league in 2021 with 85% Bills players. Yeah, in 2021, we also went to the AFC Conference Championship. So that does not surprise me.
You get a time machine, you got it made, man.
Yeah, he has Allen and Diggs. That stack is nice to have, isn't it?
Mike's, you got that.
Yep. I got that stack in one of my leagues, in my big money league. I guess you would call ours a keeper league. It's not a dynasty league. It's a keeper league. But yeah, I have that stack, and it's always fun with those two guys. Always fun with those two guys. I also have Kincaid now going forward too, which will be nice.
Yeah. This week's a little tough for you though, because you have
I have all my backups in. I don't have 5 Bills starting. I have 3 Bills starting. I have Allen. I have Allen, Diggs, and Kincaid. I no longer have Bass. I let him go.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Well, but Bass has been a little shaky lately, so I had to go give me somebody else. Justin comes in and says I have to start Purdy this week against Philly. Not sure how I feel about that. Well, if you listen to the pundits, which I never do,
they love him.
They love him. Me personally, they need to have a fast start. Purdy does not play well from behind. He plays well with a lead.
Right. I think if they get out there and knock him on his butt right away, the Niners are in trouble.
Yeah. Me too. Because the Eagles don't start fast ever.
No, they don't.
And if they start fast, it could be a long day.
Well, if they can just hold the Niners down early, because the Eagles do so well in the second half, that it'll.
You think so, Triggs? Here's the thing. It's gonna come down to, can that offensive line stop that defensive line? That's what's gonna come down to. Because here's the thing. Last week when Josh Allen diced them up is because Josh Allen, extended plays constantly.
Yeah,
to dice them up.
I don't know that Purdy can do that. And neither of those defenses would I start this week.
Oh, hell no.
I
would say clear of that game in general, because you don't know what you're going to get.
Well, look what happened to Dallas the other night. They scored 41 points and their defense got a -3.
Yeah. 49ers going to smoke the Eagles. Okay.
Well, there you go.
All right. I hope so. I live in Northern California. It'd be nice to have, a lot of happy fans around here.
I'm playing a guy that is so Eagle centric that I'd love to see the Eagles get crushed.
Right. That'd be awesome. Not only that, but it makes more compelling television for next week's football game, because if the Niners beat the Eagles then go into Dallas. If Dallas beats them, Dallas now leads the East.
That would be something. That'd be something.
Right? Trey Simpson says Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle will dice that defense up. Okay.
They might.
And you didn't even put their superstar in there, and that's McCaffrey. McCaffrey's the best guy on that team.
Right. Yeah, he catches the ball a lot, and I think this could be one.
There you go. You put CMC as well.
I think this is one of those weeks where Kittle could, get one of them sneaky good weeks.
Right.
It's prime for that. But we'll see.
Start Josh Allen, guaranteed no interceptions this week.
Oh,
you're funny. You know what? I'll take his interceptions as long as I get his touchdowns too. He's the top fantasy scorer in every format this year. Even with all his turnovers, he's still the top fantasy scorer.
Yeah. But are you going to
the Bills Chargers? No, I'm not going to the Bills Chargers game. It's in LA. It's about an 8.5 hour long drive, and I'll be interested to see what the Bills Chargers, where they stand when it gets to that game. We have, I might try to get a ticket and go down there if we're still in it. I don't want to drive down there for us not to be in it, because who knows what it's going to look like. But hey, we'll see. Haters are all going to hate on Josh Allen. They will. They'll always hate on him. It's fine. They have to find a way to get their narrative. Their narrative was he was going to be a bust. So when he did really good, they just sat on their hands and had to shut the hell up and still talk about, interceptions. No one's talking about Patrick Mahomes' interceptions this year.
Right.
He has 3 less.
I think Allen, he's a hell of a weapon. I just think he's been used wrong. I don't think I can't put a whole lot of it on him. I mean, when you let him off the leash and keep him off the leash, he's going to make mistakes. But if you can keep him dialed in, he's scary.
Well, I think what Joe Brady's doing with Allen is the right way to use him. You dial up. If you just ask him to check down constantly, that's the game plan, and give him no options to go downfield, doesn't fit his style. You need to give him those calculated throws downfield. And Joe Brady does. He gives them about 5 or 6 a game to where he can really uncork one, 25, 30 yards downfield. And then Josh Allen's more willing to do the check downs because he knows that a cork's going to come at some point.
Yeah, one of those is going to pop open and
yeah.
Or they're going to give him a good running lane.
Yeah. And Joe Brady can tell him, like, listen, if it's open, go. Don't think about it, just go.
I just think before, and I always used to give your offensive coordinator hell. It's like as soon as something started working for him, they went away from it and said, "Oh shit, this is working. We can't do it." Never made any sense to me. I mean, my favorite saying is "Dance with who brung you."
Yeah, imagine how well we'd be doing statistically and record-wise if we had a head coach that was offense. Yeah,
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: we have a defensive head coach who gives up the game at the end on defense. Josh Allen leaves the field with the lead, and the defense gives it up with a defensive specialty head coach. Josh Allen's going off. MVP is coming, Bills Mafia. I don't know if he'll get the MVP because of the wins and losses, but he has the numbers for the MVP.
Yeah.
I'm debating on going to the Miami game. Miami game could be fun, Be careful if you go there, Going to someone else's house is always, a little touchy. Problem is we don't have a true explosive wide receiver for those big plays. We don't have that speedster, Gabe Davis is our big play guy, and he's down the field, and he's not a speedster. We don't have the guy that's going to stretch the defense. It keeps him very compact. Diggs is our explosive. And really, Shakir's been our big play guy this year, with the catch and runs. And he runs a 4.4, but he's not like a blazing fast speedster guy that the defense coordinators stay up at night thinking about. It's crazy. Bring it home. That's all I want. Justin, the game winner will take you from the Fins. We'll choke down the stretch. They lose 2 before that epic game. Like, there's a chance that if we win out, that we can still win the division. If Miami loses against Dallas and Baltimore, and then us at the end, there is a chance that we could still win the division. That'd be an epic failure for Miami fans. They would lose their crap if that happened.
Yeah.
Oh, give me Neighbors. But here, problem is Neighbors are probably going to go top 15, so I cannot see us being able to get him. Harrison, if he comes out, because he's talking about going back to school, which is crazy. But when you're making millions in college, it's, the need to go to the pros isn't as important.
That's true.
The league's going to be there for Marvin Harrison Jr. His dad's a freaking Hall of Famer. So he could go back to college if he wants to do the college experience. Because once you leave college, you can't go back, Well,
as long as you don't play in the NFL first. I mean, you can do it. Then he's that kid from Miami who just got hurt this last weekend. The linebacker. He played a couple years. What was his name? Started with a P.
Oh, Phillips. Jalen Phillips.
Yeah.
Yeah, the defensive end.
In college, he was getting beat up, and he basically
he had to medically retire because of concussions.
Right, and then he went back.
Yeah,
and he was having a really good season. Had a great game, and then boom, out with the Achilles.
I like this one, Justin Leggett, the 6'3" receiver who runs 4.29. The question is how's his hands? That's my question next. You can have 4.29 speed. If you can't catch a ball, then it doesn't, there's no point in having you out there. Gabe said he'd rather go long instead of short in any kind of weather. Well, okay. Whatever. I'm kind of over Gabe Davis. I don't listen to what he has to say.
Well, I remember last year how Tommy just would not,
every week he'd pick him.
He'd pick him every week. It's like, okay.
Targets in the first round depends on where we end up, Scott. If we're, because it all goes about, the asset management of where you're at. If you're in the top 15, if you can get one of those top 4 receivers, Nabiers, Keon Coleman, Rome Oduzole from Washington, or Maserati Marv, as they like to call him, Marvin Harrison Jr., which I doubt that's happened. He's probably going top 3. If you can get one of those 4, and you're up high enough to get one, you take them. If not, you're looking at like Chop Robinson, who's a defensive end. You're looking at an offensive tackle, because I love what we have on the offensive line, but we can still upgrade. We can take that top offensive tackle, put him at, right there, right tackle, until we're done with until we're done with Dawkins, and then move him to the left tackle. You can look at a defensive tackle. We only have one defensive tackle under contract next year. So I have to retool that position. So is there one of the top defensive tackles out there? Where does Brock Bowers end up after his injury? Not that I want another tight end, but that's going to push somebody down if someone takes him in the top 15. So there's a lot of little things that you can look at. Where we go will be depending on where we end up in the draft. If we're in the top 15, I see us going wide receiver. If we're in the bottom 15, I can see us going another position. I don't know if those top receivers are going to be there.
Speaking of your defense, didn't you guys? I don't know if you've lost him, but he's in big trouble hitting his girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, there's conflicting reports now coming out. She's saying that it was a verbal confrontation, not a physical one, and it's getting overblown. But yeah, there was a warrant out for his arrest. He turned himself in. He bailed himself out, and now we just have to wait to see what happens in the last of the round. If it's in the last one, if we assume that, we're probably looking at some kind of defensive tackle, defensive end, maybe offensive tackle late. I don't think any of the elite receivers are going to be there, and I don't think we'll be reaching for one. I can also see us trade now in the first round altogether if it's not there. And us having a top second round pick for one of those receivers. No point in reaching for a guy. That's true. God, no. Oh, God, please, no. Center should be second or third round. There's a couple centers that's coming out that are out there. There's the Penn State center, who's probably one of the top ones. The guy who I'm really looking at, who's probably round 2, round 3, is Cooper Beebe out of Kansas State. He's a tackle in college. He'll probably be a guard in the NFL. I'm a big fan of. I think he's going to be one of the top guards. But they just paid McGovern, and we drafted Torrance last year. Something tells me that, it's not going to change next year. So I don't think we're going to be going for that. If we take a guard, I'd like to see us in the third round. Take that Zach Minter kid who just got hurt with Michigan. He's going to be out all of next year. Redshirt him. And then we'll see what it looks like the following year. He's one of the top guards coming out. So there's a lot of things we do. And we'll get into all this stuff in the offseason on our Buffalo channel. So let's finish out the duds. We had Dobbs, Smith, and Tua. Tua was part of the duds last week, by the way. Fields and Purdy is dishonorable mention. Running backs, we had Hunt, Edwards, Barkley. Saquon had a rough game. With dishonorable mentions of Connor, Warren, and Mixon. Wide receivers, Thielen showed up on the dishonorable mention finally. He's been on the studs a lot this year.
He'll be back this week.
Yeah. So Thielen, Judy, and Cooper with the dishonorable mention of Kupp, Lockett, and Metcalf. That seems like it should be the other way around. Like they should all be studs, and they were all duds last week.
Yeah.
Tight ends, we had Pitts, Ferguson, and Kittle, Taysom Hill, and Dalton Kincaid. So that covers our studs and duds for week 12. Oh, let's see what's going on in the chat. We need safeties as well. Yeah. Unfortunately, Hyde and Poyer obviously going down. Love them, but reality is hitting. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them back for one final year. I don't know if they will do that. Poyer is still on the team for next year. Hyde is not, but we don't have a backup plan for Hyde. So I could see us bringing them back one more year and then drafting their replacements and bringing them along. Top 5 defense this week. Who's the top 5 defense this week?
I like a couple teams that I like this week. Like Jacksonville, Tampa Bay. Let's see.
Let me go over and pull up the defenses.
Those two for sure.
Miami at Washington. Hal throws a ton of picks, and they give up a ton of sacks. And that's what you want in fantasy. You want to get those. The points don't matter as much as the interceptions, the fumbles, and the sacks.
If you can get a bunch of interceptions and fumbles, you can take care of the score points. So, yeah, Miami maybe.
Scott, I tried so hard to listen to a Bills only podcast. I almost hooked him.
Yeah, I'm sitting over here with my thumb up my butt.
I could talk Bills all day. I could talk NFL all day though.
I could talk Bills. It's just that I'm always on the negative end of it. So
I know, you jerk. Pittsburgh versus Arizona. That's a good defense to have this week.
Yeah.
Falcons at Jets. Anybody who plays the Jets is a good defense to pick up.
Yeah.
Because Aaron's not back yet. And once Aaron comes back, I don't see how he's going to last behind that offensive line.
Yeah, I think I kind of hope that they lose a couple more games and don't have a shot at the playoffs because I don't want to see him come back and get hurt again.
Well, they said they just cleared him for full football activity.
Well, he looks fine, but when you're running for your life, that's a whole different story than playing catch.
Some that are available are the Jaguars, Jets, Chiefs, Chargers, Steelers, Rams. I'll tell you right now, in a PPR league, the Steelers are the number 3 rated defense this week.
I like the Chargers this weekend too because they're very aggressive going after the
Chargers.
Just I mean on a week by week basis. I think they've got.
They are playing New England,
and
New England's offense is hot garbage.
Yeah. I mean, look what they did a couple weeks ago. I can't remember who they played, but they were all over the quarterback. They had like 5-6 sacks.
Chargers sit at number 11 on my list. The Jets sit at number 8. Kansas City's Chiefs sit at number 7. Who else did he have? The Rams and all them are below.
Now, is that for the season or for
no? Just this week. Just this week.
Yep.
Okay. And in a PPR league, that's where how they're rated out.
Okay.
It goes. Miami's number 1 this week. Then it was Dallas, who got shredded.
Yeah.
Then it goes Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City, the Jets, the Rams, and the Browns, top 10.
Geez, they didn't have Tampa Bay anywhere in there? They're playing
Tampa Bay's number 5.
Okay, because they're playing Carolina.
Yeah, Tampa's
and
number
really
5.
Carolina, all they got is Thielen.
Yeah. They're ranked number 5 this week.
Yeah. I mean, I'm starting
what quarterbacks do you guys like this week from a quarterback standpoint? Justin Herbert. Love Justin Herbert against there's a lot of injuries on that New England defense. Justin Herbert's probably going to have a really good day.
If you can find somebody to throw to.
Yep.
Keenan could go off if he plays.
Trevor Lawrence against Cincinnati. The problem with Cincinnati is that offense can't stay on the field, so that defense gets tired. Lawrence may not start hot, but I have a feeling he's gonna have a good game. Let's see, who else? Baker versus Carolina. This could be a big Baker Mayfield week. That Carolina defense is struggling. What about Gardner Minshew at Tennessee? That's a good one.
That is a pretty good one because Tennessee was pretty tough for a few weeks there, but the last 2 or 3 weeks they've been getting beat.
Brandon says you normally have the Ravens on the bench. Yeah, so from a true defensive standpoint, I got the Steelers. They get you sacks, they get you picks. They're always really good. They're going against Arizona at home. If the Steelers are out there, I'd grab them.
And Arizona's banged up this week too.
Yep.
Hollywood's nursing. McBride's got a groin problem. Who else?
I'm going to start Steelers. That's a good start. You can't go wrong either with that. You can't go wrong starting the Steelers. The Steelers are always good defensively.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
even when their offense wasn't good, their defense kept them in all these games to give them a good record when their offense was hot garbage. You know? So, okay. What was I doing? I forgot what I was doing now.
Well, we're just finishing the duds.
Oh, yeah. We just finished the duds. I got into the chat and I forgot what I was doing. All right. So this week's buys. We have Buffalo, Chicago, Las Vegas, Minnesota, New York Giants, and Baltimore. So a lot of – and then next week it's Arizona and Washington only. So there's only 2 next week. And then that's the end of the buys, which is nice. So let's get into some sit starts, Howie. Quarterbacks. Who would you play if you had your choice? Would you go Brock Purdy versus Philly, or would you go Russell Wilson at Houston?
Everybody's talking about Purdy, but I think Russell's a little resurgent lately. I would pick Russell Wilson. They've got something to play for. Purdy, like I said, if you knock him on his ass a couple times, I don't think he's gonna be as productive as they think. He's got all kinds of weapons around him. But
Spen, that's rough, buddy. Gino on the bench after yesterday's game.
Who'd you start?
Who'd you start? Oh,
that always hurts when you do that. But you know what? Looking at that game, you would think, like I thought, I wouldn't have started any of the Seattle players. Maybe their kicker.
He started Stroud. Stroud can still make up for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's guaranteed points, but I wouldn't have started Gino over Stroud this week. Mm-hmm. Dallas's defense is really good. They just got torched that last week.
Yeah.
I think you made the smart call. It sucks how it turned out, but you made the smart call.
It may not be that big of a deal.
I need 20 from Kittle this week. Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's doable.
That's nice. Tua might pop off this week. Yeah.
He's got a good chance.
Yeah, he does against that Washington team. Here's the thing. Tua's been up and down the last few weeks, as you expect. He starts off really hot, and then as the season goes, he goes up and down. It's the way Tua is. People catch on to what the offense is doing. They come up with defenses. Like, defensive coordinators are smart. And then it's Mike. It's a chess game. So now, what does Mike McDaniel do to get them back on track? And does the Washington have the players to stop them? Because here's the thing: if you could take away Tua's first target, and you give your defense a chance to get to him and hit him, Tua's going to struggle.
Right.
It's when you let him get the ball out in the 2 seconds quickly to that first target. The problem is it's really hard to stop Tyreek Hill from getting open.
Yeah. The best way to defend him is to hit him right at the line.
Yeah.
You
better not miss.
You got to take him out of the play, and if you do miss, he's gone.
Yeah, and you better not miss.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I also need Waddle to go crazy because I don't have JT anymore.
Good luck.
JT was a bummer. He was coming on. He was getting healthy. He was looking good, and then he busted his thumb up. I know. I had him too, and it was a bummer to see.
They may be going all over the field against the Skins,
Yep.
So Waddle might. I don't know that he's going to go crazy, but I mean,
I can see 100+ in touchdown from Waddle.
I could flex him. I wouldn't put him as a wide receiver number 1.
He's not in my lineup. He's on my bench.
Yeah.
Mainly because I don't trust that Tua's going to throw to him. If I thought Tua would throw to him, I'd put him in, but I just don't trust that he will.
No, Tua is Evans and.
Who am I running this week? I'm running. Who am I running this week? Let me look.
Well, you got Waddle and Diggs, and so if you're not starting Waddle, you're not starting Diggs. You're starting Evans.
Yeah, I always start Evans. Who am I going with? My team. Set start. Here we go. Who do I got this week? I do have Waddle in, but I'm going back and forth between Waddle and Cooper Kupp. I think I might go Waddle. So this week in that league, I have Sam Howell starting. So I hope you're right, Howie. I hope he goes off. I have Sam Howell, Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, Mike Evans, Waddle, Freiermuth, Pacheco is my flex, and then I have Lutz and Cleveland's defense.
Yeah. I'm doing the double tight end play this week.
Right? Isn't that crazy? How do you trade all your two stud defensive ends and then fire your defense coordinator and say, "Oh, our defense got bad"? You want to know why? It was very much a Ron Rivera trying to save his job move.
Yeah.
That's all that was. Is it Del Rio's fault that your quarterback gets sacked 100 times and he throws 5 picks in a game?
Yeah. Yeah, the one good thing about Howell is for fantasy is he's always playing from behind. So
he always throws and he doesn't care.
He's just slinging the ball. He's not a threat to run.
Yeah, CD got 32 and he got tackled at that one.
Oh.
Yep, I remember
that.
That was
a rough one. You're getting a little greedy there if you're worried about 32. Oh, I got
sent Austin Eckler for Brandon Ayuk and Devon Achane. My current running backs are CMC, Gibbs, and my receivers are Calvin Ridley and Olave. Nice. I would take Eckler for Ayuk and Achane, especially if it's a redraft league.
Yeah.
Although Eckler hasn't really been the Eckler of old, but I think that's more because they're so beat up on offense.
They're going to need him this weekend, though. I mean, like I said, they don't have a lot to throw to.
I agree, Spin. I think Zach Moss is a great option. Because he was a top 3 running back until JT came back, and then they stopped running him. I don't think they're going to miss much. Zach Moss fits that scheme very well.
He's a very good option this week.
Yeah,
you got him.
Jaden Reed versus Josh Down. Here's the problem: Reed has been hurt though. I don't know if he's playing.
Well, they use him sort of like Debo. They run him. But he is playing this week. I saw
he's questionable.
But I tell you what, I would go with Downs this week because he's really doing well.
So Reed didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday due to a chest injury, and he was limited on Friday. So even if he plays, he may be limited. I would probably go Downs. I love Jaden Reed. I wanted us to draft him. He gets you about 10 a week or more. His floor seems to be about 10 a week, but not with the injury that he has. One hit and he's done. It's the reason why I'm leaning away going with Waddle over Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's nursing an ankle, one wrong step, and he could be done for the day. So I'm probably going Downs here, Spin. And you don't listen to us anyways, and you do your thing. You talk me out of it. It's half the time. Should I trade Mixon for Javonte Williams right now? Yes. Yeah, if you can get off Mixon, get off of Mixon. That offense isn't going anywhere.
I have Mixon, but for the foreseeable future, I don't see a matchup where he's going to be starting for me.
And Javonte is ascending right now with that offense.
Yeah, Denver's on the move, so
yeah, I think you have a higher ceiling with Javonte than you do Mixon. I love Mixon, and if Joe Burrow's back there, I'd say don't touch it. But with Joe being out for the year, Mixon's they're going to stack the box and dare Jake Browning to beat him.
Yeah,
and the ball went through his hands in the end zone. You talk about CD still. Achane was on pace for a monster year before he got injured. He was. Achane was fantastic. The problem is he's been hurt twice now this year. 3 times. He was hurt coming into the year. He got hurt, came back for a game, got hurt. So far he just seems very fragile because he's small.
He's a thoroughbred, and like I said, he's small, he's fast, but he's not going to take the abuse of some other ones.
He's like, listen, I just convinced you of picking my choice, which is always wrong. Yep. If Burrow is there, I wouldn't have a problem with Mixon. Me neither. Yeah. But if you can get off of Mixon for Javonte, that's a good trade. Yeah. Is it a redraft league or is it a keeper league? I think I'm doing that deal either way, if it's redraft or keeper.
Yeah, I think so. Mixon's starting to get a little long in the tooth.
And Javante's, coming off that ACL last year, and he's already doing well this year. He's only going to get better.
Yeah, they feed him. I mean, for a while there, they were
nice.
giving P. Ryan a lot of.
He accepted
carries,
it,
but
so he made that deal.
Good
job. And it's a redraft league. Then yeah, absolutely. It's a redraft league. You don't even think about it. You take Javonte.
Yeah.
So let's look at the running backs this week. Where does Javonte lie? Mixed. None of them are in the top 10. McCaffrey, Etienne, Kamara, Eckler, Pollard, White. Man, Rashard White has just come on in the second half of the year. Kyren Williams. Go ahead.
Etienne may or may not play. He's got ribs and chest, but he's looking upward of it. If you don't have him, if he doesn't start there, I got a deep sleeper with the Ernest Johnson.
Oh, the old Brown.
Yeah.
The old Sunday night or Monday night hero.
The thing is you're not going to know
until game time.
Until Monday night, until game time. So that's a big gamble.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, if
I have ETN, I'm probably not playing him unless I have Ernest Johnson on my roster as a backup. That's the only way I'm putting ETN
you can
in my
make
lineup.
that change at the last minute on Monday because otherwise, who are they playing?
They're playing Cincinnati.
Okay, well, yeah. If you've got ETN, take a good look Sunday morning because my first year.
I took Waddle over Diggs, CD, and AJ Brown. If you were playing in a dynasty or a keeper league, Brandon, that's not a bad move. I wouldn't have taken him over CD or AJ, but taking Waddle over Diggs. Diggs is the better, current player, but long term, Waddle would have been the better player. CD is probably the one I would have taken of all of them. But hey, it's your first year. Live and learn, buddy. Live and learn.
And Waddle's not a terrible pick in your first year.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you could have.
I also thought Waddle was going to be, introduced more to this offense this year.
Yeah.
Like I really thought they would find a way to incorporate him better. He's like, I have CD now. There you go. You found a way to get him. So, you're doing it right either way. Ask Howie. He drafted. I don't think he has a single guy he drafted on his team left.
I've got my keepers still.
Yeah, your keepers, but the guys that you drafted. Do you have a single guy?
I don't think so.
I'm like, I don't know if you have a single.
I have made now. I like to stream. I've made 31 moves this year, not counting trades. So it's like week to week. I don't know how many defenses and kickers I've been through. I play the matchups, and with us, every time you make a move, it's $2.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm in the playoffs because at least it'll pay that off. Yeah, I need to get like a second place or better to recoup this year.
Brian says I traded Mike Evans and Evan Ingram, who he picked up off of waivers for CD. That's a good trade, Evans and Ingram, because that especially if that guy's trying to build out his roster, that's actually not a bad move.
Yeah, and that Evans had a great year too.
Yeah, Evans had a great year.
I've got Ingram, and I love that guy.
Yep. All right, so let's hit some set starts. So who would you start this week? Would you go Breece Hall versus Atlanta, who's also questionable? Or would you go David Montgomery at New Orleans?
I would go David Montgomery. I think Atlanta's defense is going to be a little bit too much. Breece, if he breaks one, it could go for 70 yards, but he doesn't break a whole lot of them. And Atlanta's defense is tough, regardless of their record. So I would go with Montgomery this week because if nothing else, he's going to get the goal line carries. Okay. Gibbs is going to get the passes. So yeah. I would go with Montgomery.
So in that situation. Then here's a tough one for you. Would you go Devin Singletary versus Denver, or would you go Najee Harris versus Arizona? They're both at home.
Let's see. Singletary's playing against who?
Denver.
They're pretty tough. Both Warren and Najee are going to get, are going to split the carries, but I think they're both liable to get you 80 yards and a touchdown. I would go with Najee this week.
Okay.
just because Denver's defense is tough.
Would you go Kareem Hunt or Jerome Ford?
Well, let's see.
Joe Flacco's the quarterback there.
Joe Flacco's quarterbacking this week.
Who's going to have the better day, Ford or Hunt?
Kareem Hunt.
Flip a coin.
Flipping a coin.
Spin comes in and says, why is Roger practicing if he's not going to play if the Jets are mathematically eliminated by the time he's ready? Does he honestly think the Jets will be mathematically? No, I think he's going to try to play regardless just to be that guy who come back from it in the same season.
I think it's ego.
Yeah.
I don't think
and he was cleared yesterday for full football activity now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's smart either. I think he's better off. Behind that offensive line, I don't care how quick your decision-making is. Behind that offensive line, you're getting your ass killed.
Yeah.
You know,
he's not going to make that big of a difference.
They lost their two best offensive linemen.
Yeah.
You know, and AVT and was it? What's his name? The big monster dude, Beckham or something like that. He's one of the tackles.
Oh,
he's like a top pick for them. Ego and just gives Jets hope if he wins some games. Yeah. Listen, I kind of want him to come back because they still got to play Miami. Let him come back and just dice Miami up and win.
He might help.
Help the Bills.
He might help.
Come on back and help the Bills. Becton, thank you. Yeah, it's Becton. They lost both of them. And they lost Dwayne Brown, who was their other tackle. Like, they're playing with, like, and their center, I think they're on, like, the third center. It's just that line has been it wasn't good to start with, but it's been decimated since. All right, so let's go to some wide receivers. Start. We got Mike Evans, or Deebo Samuel. I know you probably go with Mike Evans because you don't want to play anybody in that Eagles game, but you know Evans or Deebo.
I think Evans has the better, play against Carolina, and Baker's been putting the ball up. I think Deebo could be a game breaker for the Niners this week, but I don't think he's going to be the lead man like Mike Evans is going to be. If you look in just pure fantasy, I mean, Deebo might be the one that wins that game, but Mike Evans is going to put up the points.
Are you going Mike Evans? Or you going Tank Dell?
Mike Evans. I think Tank Dell, he's nursing a calf, and there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. I mean, now Schultz is out; he's iffy, but the rest of that gang, you got Nico Collins, you got Noah Brown. You know,
Noah Brown's still iffy too with the knee. He's missed the last two games.
He's still iffy. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I'm going with Evans.
Okay. So would you go Calvin Ridley, or would you go Deshaun Hopkins? Because Calvin Ridley's had back-to-back good games.
Well, no, I don't think Hopkins. I don't think Hopkins is the way to go this time.
All right.
I would definitely go with Ridley.
Would you go Ridley or Thielen?
Thielen this week.
You go Thielen this week?
I'm always feeling Thielen. He's been my guy. He's my Jordy Nelson of this decade.
So give me this one. You going Puka Nacua or Christian Kirk?
I think Puka.
You like Puka? Okay. You going? No, Hollywood's injured. Here's one. You going Jerry Jeudy, or are you gonna go Romeo Doubs?
Well, Cortland Sutton has taken a lot of the passes up there in Denver, and he seems to be the go-to guy. How's Christian Watson doing? Is he hurt or is he playing? Or
Christian Watson has no injury designation. He just hasn't really been all that involved.
Well, okay. I think maybe Dobbs has a week.
You think it's gonna be Dobbs this week?
Yeah.
With Jalen Reed up and down, I think Dobbs could be the guy who benefits from that.
Right.
Okay. Would you go Tyler Boyd, or would you go George Pickens?
I would have to go Pickens because there's nobody throwing to Boyd, and Boyd is their number 3 anyway.
But they don't throw to Pickens either.
Yeah, well, that's. But I like that matchup against Cardinals.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I matter of fact, I think what I did was that when I told you I dropped DK,
Uh-huh.
and I picked up Pickens. So that was my.
Oh, that wasn't that bad of a trade-off. They were
No,
doing about the same.
it wasn't. If you can read the tea leaves and you know that DK is going to go up, you don't make that trade.
Yeah.
But that's how I did it in that other league. I picked up Pickens.
Yeah, and you were hoping Pickens was going to be more involved. It just hasn't been.
I thought that whole Seattle offense was going to get shut down because K9 was hurt. Charbonnet got hurt late in the game.
Yeah.
So if you've got somebody like that next week, you're going to have to look at DJ Dallas.
Yeah. Or Kenny McIntosh. Kenny McIntosh, who is their rookie out of Georgia, who has yet to play. Yeah. That could be a super deep sleeper.
That may be one of those situations where he comes in out of nowhere. Because there's always somebody like that. With like 4 weeks to go, there's always someone who comes out and is like, "Who is he?" And boom,
So I'm gonna give you 2 tight ends. Are you gonna go Trey McBride or Taysom Hill?
Well, McBride is nursing a groin, and the Saints don't have anybody left to throw to right now.
That's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking Taysom Hill because he's a weapon.
It's probably going to be Taysom Hill throwing to Juwan Johnson at tight end. I would go with Taysom this week.
You think he's going to have a big week?
Unless they go to Kamara all day, he's going to have to be the guy. You know. But they have been throwing to Juwan Johnson a lot, and they've got that kid A.T. Perry, who might get some play this week. But if I had to go for those,
let me find out. Did they get flexed out of Monday night? Where's the Monday night game this week?
It's Jags.
So I think they did get flexed out of Monday night because probably because they both sucked, them and the Chargers. Neither one of them are good this year.
Yeah.
So I know it's off topic, but we always take off topic stuff here, Amy. You're always welcome to ask anything.
You can ask as many questions as you want. Please.
Right? All right, so let's go Pat Freiermuth or Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is at the Jets. Or Logan Thomas. I'll give you 3. Pat Freiermuth, Logan Thomas, Kyle Pitts. Which of the 3 are you taking?
I've got Logan down as a sleeper.
Okay.
So, but Freiermuth's coming back with vengeance. I will go Freiermuth this week.
All right. That closes out our sit start. Who do you have as your sleepers for this week? I know you have a list.
Well, I've actually talked about a couple of them: Logan Thomas, Dearness Johnson, and Tucker Kraft. If you're looking for another tight end for Green Bay.
Okay. I like that one. Tucker Kraft is a rookie that came out. I liked him in the draft. It'd be interesting to see how he plays out. All right, I like that. All right, so time to move around. Who's Howie's Hot Pepper Challenge this week?
Okay, you know what? I'm going with the pundits on this one because I want to see a crazy ass game. Miami versus Washington. Tua and Howell combined for 600 yards.
And 6 touchdowns? Are you doing the 6 touchdowns? Or are you doing 5 touchdowns?
I'm going with 5 because I don't think Howell's going to put up 3 touchdowns.
Oh, I hope he does because he's my quarterback this week.
Well, my X Factor blends into that same one. I'm also going with Scary Terry.
Okay, you're going Scary Terry this week. I need to look.
I'm going with a total homer pick this week.
That's all right. You can do that.
I'm wearing the gear today. I got my Theismann on. I got my real Washington hat.
Yeah, the Skins hat.
You can tell I've worn this thing a few times. I'm not a guy to keep his hats pretty.
I'm gonna go with Mike Evans. I'm gonna go with my boy Mike. I need him to have a week for me.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
If he's catching balls, that means Rachaad White's running the ball, and I need Rachaad to do something this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of Homer stuff going on. So
Yep.
I'm doing that.
And there's no Bills this week, so I can't take any of my homers. I'm going to sit
That's
back
true.
this week and watch a bunch of football, not worry about Buffalo winning or losing and letting it ruin my week.
And I'm telling you, who I really want to see do something is Eckler. I'd like to see him
Get
come
back
up
to
with one of those
Eckler.
games. If he can come back to where he was 3/4 of what he was last year, I'd be really happy.
Okay.
But getting hurt early this year, he just hasn't come back from it, and the team is in disarray. They score a lot of points, but he's been dropping balls like crazy.
Yeah.
Those little 10 or 15-yard outs where he's waiting for the ball, it comes right to him, and
I've seen that so much this year.
Yeah.
So many people dropping balls this year. It's like almost they take their eye off the ball to see where the defender is to make their next move, and it's a concentration thing.
Well, defenders are getting so big and so fast and so strong that you actually hear the footsteps. Boom, boom, boom.
Right? Especially playing on turf and not on grass.
Yeah.
You definitely hear them coming.
And turf is no fun to fall on. When we went back to New York a few years ago to the Carrier Dome, they had turf, and my dad and Jason were walking along, and I was behind them, and all of a sudden they heard, "Puh!" and they looked around, and I was on the ground, and they said, "What the hell are you doing down there?" I go, "I just wanted to see what it was like to take a hit on turf." They said, "What's it like?" I said, "It's like taking a hit on your driveway."
I bet. That was the old turf. That was old Carrier turf, right? And the newer stuff is supposed to feel, it has thicker stuff, and they have the padding underneath, which isn't so much the old Carrier turf was like carpet. It was like the AstroTurf.
There was cement underneath it.
Yeah, like there was no padding. Now they have paddings and stuff,
and they've got the rubber pellets. And
they need to get rid of the turfs and go back to grass fields.
I think so. I mean, the people used to say that grass fields, people are getting hurt. Well, no, your cleats get stuck in the grass, they tear the grass up.
Yeah, if cleat gets stuck in the turf, your ligament goes.
Yeah, there goes a body part,
Yeah,
and I love looking at like on a rainy Sunday. I love looking at a field that just is tore up, and it's a slobber knocker game. We haven't had one of them in a long time.
We had one at the beginning of, was it last year or 2 years ago it was last year. Lance versus the Bears, remember? And that monsoon.
Oh yeah, they were just sliding all over the place. I love that.
Yeah.
And there used to be where pro teams would play on the same field as a college team. And they'd come in the day after, and it was like a rodeo had been there.
Yeah.
Fun times. I miss those, right. But yeah.
Any last comments before we close this out?
Let's see. Well, I really want to see how Flacco does with the Browns.
Be interesting.
And when it comes to the Cardinals, there's one guy I want to pinpoint, and only because this was Tommy's guy last year. He loves saying the name, so I'm going to say it for him. Greg Dortch. Every time I say Greg Dortch, I can see Tommy's face.
Right? Him and Gabe Davis.
Yeah, him and Gabe Davis.
Last year, All right. Thanks everyone for riding with us today. We had a lot of great conversations about football in general, a bunch of fantasy stuff, some Bill stuff, some skin stuff. We'll be back next week at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. Until then, for Howie, I'm Mikey, and we are